This is Disney Travel Tales, a trip report show helping you to become an expert at navigating your next Disney vacation. Join me every Friday for all things Disney related. Not traveling to Disney anytime soon? Never fear, we are still the show for you. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in someone else's trip. All the joy, none of the stress. All right, if you're ready, let's get to today's show. Welcome to episode number 111. Today my guest is Beth, and Beth has been on a few times. I love having her on. She's not only a fantastic podcast guest, she is a client of mine, and they just got home from their Disney cruise. So Beth, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with Disney vacations.
Hi, I'm Beth. I have enjoyed being on your podcast before for just park strips. So this is the first cruise report that I'll have. And we have not done a Disney cruise since 2015 in December. And so this was quite different. That was when my daughter was only 4 and now she's 12 and a half. So it was myself and her and my husband. And it was on the Disney Dream. It was a 5-night Bahamian cruise with 2 stops at Castaway Cay and 1 stop at Nassau.
That's so fun. So did it almost feel like you were cruising for the first time again since it had been so long since you cruised?
Yes. Yeah. It was like I had forgotten all of the details from when we went before. I wasn't like into the Disney research, trip researching and podcasts or anything like that. I think we had just had a friend at church who had done a couple of the Disney cruises, and we were just looking for like what could be a trip we could tackle with a young child that wouldn't be as daunting as doing Disney World. So we were like, okay, everything's contained on the cruise and they have the kids clubs, and it sounded like a great idea. But when we went at that time, there were just so many other things that we had to kind of navigate. Like she has a lot of separation anxiety. So at that time it was like, okay, is she even going to go in the kids club? And so we had some trouble with that. And just, you know, when you have a little kid and you have to travel with so much stuff, it's like, I mean, thankfully she was potty trained and all that, but it was still like, okay, we got to bring toys for her and like all these princess dresses and like,
yes,
you know, what is she going to eat? So that was definitely totally different. And we had a travel agent that we used for that one, but, she wasn't very communicative about like, you know, letting us know like about check-ins and even like, you know, port adventure, stuff like that, or anything. And so I don't even remember. I just remember like, oh, we have to check in, and like I think my husband did it, and it wasn't like on the exact day or anything like that. So there was a lot of stuff this time, and I was like, okay, I'm making myself a timeline and stuff since we had cruised once, we already had a Castaway Club status, so we were silver, and so it was 90 days that we could start signing up for port adventures and stuff, and even that snuck up on me because it was so far in advance.
Yeah.
and we weren't sure we were even going to schedule anything, because it was kind of like some people just, you know, they don't schedule anything for Nassau. They just stay on the boat. It's kind of like not everybody's favorite port. So we were kind of hemming and hawing about that. So I didn't even book anything at 90 days. And so then we had the next thing we had to do was a check-in, and that was 33 days for us. And so I was kind of freaked out about that because it was like to get your port arrival time mainly, but you have to have so many documents in place. And just like you have to upload your passport, another photo of yourself, all of your hotel information, your flight information, and then if there's anything, kids that you're signing up for the clubs, you have to do that then. Emergency contacts. It was just, so many details that I like made myself a Word document and put all of that in it so I had it in front of me so I could do it at, since we're on Central Time, it was actually 11 p.m. the night before. Mm-hmm. So, right, it wasn't at midnight, but close to. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and then there's always the Disney IT issues. And
always. It's the worst.
A couple little hiccups where it just wasn't loading the picture that I was putting up, and I had to, redo it a couple times. So, that was a bit stressful there, but, and then there was even one more thing that was right at the 30-day, which was for if you want to sign up to meet the princesses, there's a royal gathering where there's 4 princesses and you have an actual assigned time to get in line to meet with them. Mm-hmm. So I did that, even not knowing if Zoe would go for it or not. She's kind of over the character thing, and you never know how she's going to, if it's going to be cool at the time or really stupid. So,
yes.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of stuff to keep in mind before, just like with the parks where you have to do your dining and activities. You still have a little bit of that with the cruise.
Yeah, there is a little bit with the cruise. It's just not as much planning. So a lot of people do love cruising because it is a much more relaxed vacation. And when you go on a Disney cruise, you get a little bit of Disney, but it's way more relaxing when you visit the parks, especially during spring break. If anyone was watching the crowds during spring break, it's pretty insane. And a cruise will not feel like that.
Yeah, at least with the cruise, you have a capped amount of people that are going to be on there. And this was our spring break. It was, the dates were 3/17 to 3/22 that we did the cruise.
So how did y'all get to Florida? Because y'all cruised out of Florida.
Yes, it was out of Port Everglades, which is the Disney new port that they've built in Fort Lauderdale. So we did fly, and I kind of added some headache for myself because we flew out of Kansas City. We live in Tulsa, but we couldn't get a direct flight from here, and it was also way cheaper to fly out of Kansas City. So my brother lives there, so I was like, okay, we can just stop by and see him, and he has a new baby that I wanted to see. And we spent one night in a hotel. So we ended up going up there on the Friday before the cruise. Spent the night. My brother took us to the airport and dropped us off, and we left our car at his house.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that was kind of convenient. And then we spent also one night in Fort Lauderdale just to be safe with the travel and stuff. It's always recommended to have that one night padding in case there's a flight delay or something. Yes. So we did that, and we stayed at the True Hotel by Hilton, and the port is really close to the airport, and so there's a ton of hotel options. We didn't stay at the official Disney one, which I think is another Hilton near the port. But our hotel did have a transport from the airport to the hotel that we used that evening. And then if you wanted a transfer to the port, you could set it up in the hotel lobby, but it wasn't free. I believe it was like $20 a person.
Okay.
Something like that. So we ended up just doing an Uber, and that worked out fine. There was quite a bit of traffic because there's like a bridge going over to the port, and there were so many ships going out that day.
Yeah.
I think there was like at least 8 ships that
wow.
we counted. That were,
That's a lot.
Yeah, so there was like a standstill where they have to check your documents at each car window. There's somebody checking, and so we kind of had to like show our passports through the window. And so I was getting a little nervous because it was probably 30 minutes, maybe 25 or 30 minutes that it took us when we were really only like 3 miles from the port. And so we were kind of at a standstill for a while, and I'm like, okay, getting a little nervous here. But because you can see all the ships, but you're like, so close, but you're stuck in traffic.
Yes.
So, but then after they checked us, it kind of opened up, and it was fine. And then it was really quick once we got there. Our port arrival time that we had when I did the check-in, it was 12 to 12:15. And so we got there a little bit early. I think it was about 11:50 that we got in line, and they had a separate line for like the concierge or the higher Castaway Club people, like Pearl, Gold, and what's the other one? Platinum. So, but they were calling large groups at once. So, like, even though we had 12 o'clock, it was like, we were like group 9 or something. So they would say, groups 1 through 20 get in line or something. And so, it wasn't divided out. So, if you got there a little early or a little late, it wasn't like exact where you had to get in line. And then we were using our magic bands, and it's kind of new that they have them available on the ships. And we had our park bands that we just used, but so they scanned them at the first checkpoint, and ours did not scan. Like, I had them like attached to, where they appeared to be attached to our account and all this, but then they were like, oh, they're not bringing it up or something. And so we had to go to this little kiosk after we went through security, and she kind of hooked up our magic bands there to make sure they were going to work on board. And even then, still, mine did not work when we got to our room to unlock it.
That's frustrating.
So I still had to go to customer service, which was annoying. But my daughter's and my husband's worked. It was weird. Yeah. And so you do have to go through another security, kind of like at the airport there, but it's not as strict, and they just run your bags. Like, you drop off your big bags with the porters when you first get there, and it's kind of like in a huge parking garage. So they take them and put them on the ship for you, but your carry-ons that you're going to want to have with you, because you don't know when the room's going to be ready, you have to put those through a little security scanner. And so we got on with our backpacks, and I had left in there all of our swim stuff in case we wanted to go right to swim before our luggage was dropped off. And they told us the rooms would be ready about 1:30, and it was pretty close to that. They were ready.
That's nice.
But it only took us probably like 20 minutes for all of this boarding stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have like photo ops before you go through there's a little tunnel with Mickey ears, and and then they announce your family in the atrium, and that's kind of fun. The cast members are lined up to like welcome you, and they kind of like cheer, and
That's so cute.
yeah, it's fun. And when we cruised before, we had been on the Wonder, which was a smaller ship, and this time we were on the Dream. So, it just felt like a lot bigger. They kind of have the spaces divided up the same, but you could tell there were a lot more people in all of the areas, so it holds like almost twice as many people as the Magic class ship, so you could definitely tell that, especially like on the pool deck. And we decided to just go straight to the buffet because it was lunchtime, and so we went to Cabanas, and sometimes that can be a huge crowd, but there's like 2 identical sides to it on each side of the ship, so, and then there's different stations and stuff, so it's pretty manageable. And then you can eat like outside on the deck or inside, and there's a huge area that you can usually find a place to eat pretty easily. And so, yeah, we just kind of sat down and we were getting our bearings and trying to figure out like what we want to do next. And one thing that's really important is to download the Disney Navigator app before you get on. Last time, it was so long ago that we cruised, they did not have the app, and they had like a paper navigator that they would deliver each night to your room, and it would show that day's activities. And so now they have all of this is in the app, and it has a schedule for the day, and you can go through and put a little heart by what you think you might want to do, and then it'll give you a notification whenever it's like 15 minutes before that activity, and it has all the categories like character, meet and greets, and all of the games like trivia, game shows, stuff like that. The dining is in there, the shows, movies, all of that. So that was really helpful, and I would just kind of try to go through it in the morning and heart everything I think I might want to do, and then it would send me, Daisy Duck is in the atrium at 9:30 a.m., and so that was really helpful, and it's also, you can use it as a communication it has a chat feature in there, so you can add your family to it, or anybody that you meet on board, you have to get this little code to be able to chat with them. And we decided not to do any internet package, just to like kind of have that downtime of unplugging, and that was kind of like an attractive feature of doing the cruise. And when we did it way back in 2015, they had these little kind of like walkie-talkie things that they give you, and it was like a little phone. So like my husband and I had one to communicate with each other, and it was kind of the same thing. You could talk to other people if you had their little code. But now you just do it on your phone, and then the Disney Wi-Fi on the ship also allows you to use iMessage for free. So we could text each other through that, and then that kind of placated my daughter enough where she could text her friends still. And then you can also use WhatsApp for free. So like if you have an Android and you need to use something else, you can use WhatsApp, and then the the only issue we had was like, we had kind of set up in before you cruise, there'll be a Facebook group for each sailing, and you just search on Facebook, Disney Dream, and you put in the date, and you can usually find it pretty easily. And then within that group, you can kind of find families that have the same age kids or the same interests. So I had posted in there, can we get a tween chat group going on either Messenger or WhatsApp or something? I was kind of polling people, like, what do your kids use, and what would they be interested in doing, and stuff like that. So anyway, they had gotten like a tween girls group set up, and so Zoe was the age to be in Edge, which is 11 to 14. So they had a group, but then I don't think the kids knew about, the internet shutting off and stuff. So some of the kids kind of got cut off, the ones that didn't have an iPhone. Mm-hmm. So she was kind of like, oh, I don't know what happened to them, I can't talk to them now or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like, I think we should have done something more to set up, either, put in your communication code, before the internet's cut off, or everybody download the WhatsApp or something. But luckily there were a couple girls that she was still kind of in touch with, that she was able to meet up with on the ship. So that worked out. But I had it happen to me too, where I had been talking to a lady in Facebook Messenger, and then I didn't think about it either. And then I couldn't talk to her or find her or anything. And we were going to get together at some point. So, that kind of was interesting. And then they do have like multiple packages that you can buy to do the Disney Wi-Fi package. But even then, when you're at your ports, you're going to need another type of package from your cell phone company. So we were just like, let's just not even mess with it this time, because it was going to be pretty expensive, and we didn't really need it for work or anything like that. So it was kind of nice just to not have to worry about like checking Facebook, checking your email, or whatnot.
Hey, it's Jenny, just popping on real quick. Make sure to stay up to date with all things Disney news, all things Disney, Universal, cruising related by following me on Instagram at Disney Travel Tales. You can also find me on Facebook at Disney Travel Tales as well. If this episode is making you want to plan a Disney vacation, then I would love to help you. All of my services are completely free to my clients, so there really is no reason not to use a travel agent. Most people don't realize that when you go and book your own Disney vacation, you are already paying that travel agent fee. So why not take advantage of that and get all of those services that you're already going to be paying for? I would love to help you plan your next trip, so make sure to check the show notes for information on how to get in contact with me, my quote form, my email, and let's make 2024 the year you go to Disney.
So let's see. So after we ate, I was kind of making it a priority to go to the open house at the kids club for Zoe. So we went to the Edge, and they'll have open houses for sure on the first day, and then multiple times throughout the cruise too, for all the different kids clubs. And you can even go look at the little kids one, even if you're not using it, and just see, because it's cute. And so we kind of went, and on the Dream, the Edge Club is actually in one of the funnels, and it has like a cool view of the pool deck, and it had a bunch of screens with Nintendo Switches set up with it, and it had board games and little tables with different games set up, and a couple, couches or bean bags and stuff like that to hang out. And the activities for the kids clubs are also in that app. And so you want to also make sure if your kids have a device that they have the app downloaded so they can see that. And so we had deleted it. I put it on her phone. She was like, "What is this? I don't need this Disney app." And she deleted it.
Oh, no.
I was like, "What did you do? Don't you have it?" Yeah, that was very annoying. And so then we couldn't message her through that, or she couldn't see all of the schedule. So I kept having to text her okay, they're doing a video game competition or whatever at 3, or there was stuff going all day. They'd have icebreakers, they'd have craft times, they'd have some where they would take over the teen club, the Vibe. They would go up there because they have a pool for the teenagers on there. It was just a bunch of different things. And then we also had our Facebook group was supposed to meet up at 2:30 at the ice cream soft serve on deck, and they were gonna give the kids sprinkles and stuff and take a picture. And it kind of ended up being no one was really taking charge of it seemed like. So everybody was just milling around okay, what are we doing here? Nobody was really meeting anyone. So we were okay, let's just go do something else. And by that time, our room was ready. And so we were excited to check that out. We ended up choosing a room on the 7th deck. It was 7554. And it was a really good location. It was almost right between the forward elevator and the midship elevator.
Okay.
And so we could kind of use either one depending on where we were going. And it also helped that everybody decorates their doors on the Disney cruise ships. And so we could kind of quickly look and say, oh, there's the door that has, such and such magnet, or the door that was right in the space where the hallway started. On our hallway, they had a little whiteboard where they did a survey each day. It was so cute, and you could tell a kid had written it, and it was what's your favorite Disney movie? Or
that's cute.
They change it each day, what's your favorite food on board, or your favorite restaurant or character, or something like that.
That's
and
fun.
So, or what ships have you cruised on? And there'd be a little tally mark and stuff. So we would always oh, there's the whiteboard. Okay, we're in the right spot. So that was helpful. And then we brought magnets, and we brought a pin board to do pin trading. And the doors and the walls are pretty much all magnetic. And so we got the little bitty magnetic hooks from Amazon. And I hung a little pin board on the wall, and then there's a little either a seahorse or a fish, depending on which side of the ship you're on, outside your room, and that's what they call the fish extender. And so people get a little cubby, one of those hanging cubby things that has little pockets. So each family member has their own pocket or something. So then you hang it there on the little fish or the seahorse, and people will fill it up with pixie dust, little gifts, or in that Facebook group, you join a fish extender group that's an officially organized group by Facebook. group organizers. And so we had, I think, 5 families that we had been assigned. And so I brought all the stuff to put in their fish extender. So that was kind of a fun thing that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again, because it was like so much work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's as much work as you want to put into it, but it takes up a lot of luggage space as well.
Right.
And I had just made little gift bags for each person, and Zoe and I had made the little, she's been into the clay bead bracelets with those super skinny beads, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, my daughter's obsessed.
Disc. Yes. And so kind of like the Taylor Swift bracelets that everybody's been making. So we made one for each Disney character that they had put down was their favorite character. And then just some other stuff like stickers and scrunchies and stuff like that. And then we got some pretty useful things like we each got a personalized cup with a lid and a straw to like fill up our drinks on deck. And so that was helpful because the free drinks are up on the pool deck, like a pop machine and tea and coffee. And so if you want to have like a pop for the show that's on deck 3, you have to like go all the way up to deck 11 and get your drink, and then all the way back down. And so it was helpful we brought water bottles, but then just to have something to put other stuff in was nice.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we got those and straws and pins and all kinds of stuff. Socks.
That's fun.
Yeah. Just so many things. And so it was fun to just come back to the room and be like, oh, there's something in our little gift basket. So, yeah, so that's one of the fun things. And some people who don't want it to be, like, so official will just sign up for pixie dusting. And you can do that on your own, too. Just, like, walk around and put stuff in people's little cubbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one thing I was running around doing on my off time. And then also on the first day, everybody has to do a muster drill. So ours was luckily in the big Walt Disney theater. And so we didn't have to like stand out in the sun and have to do it. But they just go over the safety with the life preservers and the boats and stuff and where you would go if there was an emergency. So everybody has to do that. And then right after that, they have the sail away party, or sail a wave, as they say, up on the pool deck. And so we kind of booked it up to deck 12 we were trying to get a spot like the deck above so we could look down and see everything. So it was super crowded up there, but last time we either didn't know about it or totally missed it or something because we were just getting oriented. But so I definitely wanted to see it this time. And it was like, they have the cast members doing a little dance and then they bring out the characters and kind of get ready to sail away. They don't always sail away exactly when the show's over or anything, but it's kind of like just a fun little party to get everything started. And we had signed up for the main dining, which is $5.45 is your dining time each night. And so it's kind of tricky because both dining times are kind of like not that desirable, I feel like.
Right.
Like the late one, is it 8:15 or 8:30?
It's 8:30. It's so late.
Yeah. And so I was like, there's no way we're eating that late. But I know a lot of people love the late one, especially if they have older kids. Mm-hmm. It's like a little bit more chill and you don't have to rush around. Like I felt, especially if you have a port day, you're like, the all aboard is usually 4:45. So you're like rushing back to your room to get showered and changed.
Right.
And we found it really difficult when Zoe was 4 to even, have her sit there through like a 2-hour dinner.
Yeah.
And there's 4 courses, and sometimes it can be very hard for the kids. And so we would often order her food, and she ordered the same thing every single night when she was little. It was like mac and cheese every night, and then they would pretty much just bring it out after a while and, have it ready. And then we would take her and the other little girl that was seated with us to the kids club, and then we would be able to finish our main course and dessert and then pick them up later. So
that's smart.
Yeah, that was really handy. But so this time we were kind of disappointed to discover we didn't get seated with anybody. So that was one of the highlights of our cruise before, was that they matched us up with another family of 3 with a little girl, and it was perfect for her to have a buddy. So I was really counting on that, okay, maybe there'll be another tween girl she can hang out with. And we were just by ourselves. We're like, what? Because they took us to a table for 4. And we're like, it's only us? What?
Yeah, because they usually seat people together.
Yeah, unless you request it. I understood it was pretty much 100% you're going to be with someone else if you're a small party. And so that was really weird. And so we even asked the head server when he came around, is there any way we can be seated with someone else? And he was writing it down. He was I'm going to check on that for you. And then nothing ever materialized. I guess it was too complicated to change their table assignments and server assignments and all of that. So I don't know. That was kind of the only thing that was oh man, that would have changed a lot of our dining enjoyment time, because it was just kind of okay, just the 3 of us. But I know some people like that. They don't want to sit with strangers. Right. So, yeah, but the restaurants on the Dream were a little different. We had all the ships have Animator's Palette, but this one had Royal Palace, which was our first dinner, which is kind of themed to all the princesses, but mostly Cinderella, I guess. And then it also had Enchanted Garden, which was kind of just, I don't know, green garden looking, kind of I don't know, an English garden or something. It had a fountain, but they didn't have, most of the ships have at least one restaurant that has a show during dinner. And this one, it was kind of Animator's Palette sort of did it had it was just the Turtle Talk with Crush. So it had Crush come on the screens and talk to the tables that were nearby. But if you weren't nearby him, it was kind of just you just kind of watched it. And then on the longer sailings, they'll do an animation thing where you draw at your table, and then they put it on the screen, so everybody's little drawings are being animated. That's fun. Which would have been fun. But
yeah, they should do that on all of them.
I think it's only 6 nights or longer, so if everyone has a chance to go to that restaurant twice, they'll do it the second time, I think.
Gotcha.
But, and we were put in there 2 nights in a row because we were in there for Pirate Night, even though, so when we were in there for that night, they changed the images on the screens to drawings from Peter Pan or Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was kind of cool. And then we had the first and last time we were in the Royal Palace. So it was good. It wasn't like amazing, but we're not really foodies.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of were just like, this is so much food. We can't eat this much. And you can order as much as you want. And every night they have the option of like appetizer, soup, salad, main dish, and dessert. So you can order all of that, or I kind of started out ordering one of each course, and then I was like, this is way too much, so then I just ordered like maybe a soup and, no salad or appetizer, or just the appetizer or something. And Ron eventually was ordering like only appetizers, like he'd order one of each one to try, but then not a main dish. And yeah, so we just kind of mixed it up because we just felt like we were eating all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's fun though that you can mix it up, because I personally like prefer just appetizers for my meal, so that's something I can totally get behind. Just ordering a bunch of different appetizers, like that sounds so good to me.
Yeah, and when you're not used to eating multiple courses, and like we don't eat dessert when we're at home or something like that, so it was like, oh my gosh, we're so full.
Yeah.
And the waiters are so attentive. They're like, they keep checking on you, like, if you like it. And so, like, one night, I kind of was like, I don't really like this, when he asked, I was like, oh, it's okay, it's not my favorite or something. And he was like, I will bring you the menu. And he, like, wanted to bring me another dish. And I was like, no, it's fine. And he, like, insisted that I order another main dish. And I was like, okay, I'll try this. And he brought it out, like, within 10 minutes or something.
Wow.
A whole new dish there. And so, yeah, we had, our serving team was, let's see, Luis was the assistant server, and his name was, I think, Rajesh was the main server. And then there's also another guy who's kind of like a supervisor over them that will then come around kind of like a manager and ask you how everything was and how your serving team was doing and stuff like that. And so they were always really good. And
that's great.
Checking on us all the time. And he would also do a little like riddle every night for us. He would like make a shape with the crayons, and I know all the servers do different things, but he would make like a little shape, like say a giraffe, and then he would say, in one move, make the giraffe face the other direction. And we're like, what? So it would be like a little trivia thing, and then he would eventually come back, and we could hardly ever figure it out. And he would give us an answer.
That's fun.
He had like at least 3 of those that he did, and he would make like a little origami animal and give it to Zoe or something like that. And I know some of them will do like magic tricks for the kids and just fun stuff like that to keep kids interested in dinner.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, let's see. So every night after dinner, there's a show, if you have the early dinner, or there's an early show for the people with late dinner. So our shows were 8:30, and so that was also a challenge on our first cruise, where it was like, that was past Zoe's bedtime, and so we would like either have to, one of us miss it and take her to bed, or we would have like a cranky, little kid in the theater squirming around, or so we like either both missed it, one of us missed it, or something, or we would try to take her to the kids club, and then it was like, really pushing it way past her bedtime. And so it was really nice this time that she wanted to see all the shows, and she was into it, and she was able to stay up. And so that was really fun. We had, so the first night, they didn't have a stage show. They just played the movie Wish in the big theater.
Okay.
And so she wanted to see it, and we got popcorn and all this stuff, and then Ron was like really not wanting to sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
And so we probably watched like 30 minutes, and then she was like, I want to go swimming. And I was like, what? And then Ron got bored and left before us. And then Zoe decided she wanted to go test out the water slide. So they had a water slide that goes all the way around the deck. And on the Dream, it's called the Aqua Duck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool. It has like a clear tube so you can see the ocean. And it's one that has a 2-person raft. And so Zoe and I like went back to the room and got all of our swim stuff, went up there, and there was hardly anyone up there because everyone was either eating or at the show.
That's actually a great time to go.
Yeah, it was. And so we rode it like 3 times in a row. And it was not warm. It was like very windy, and it was after dark and stuff. But there was no line, and so she kept wanting to do it over and over, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And it was kind of a powerful slide. It was like it was one of those where it blasts you with water to try to, move you up a hill at some points. And so I was in the back getting all of the water just pounded on me. But she loved it. And so after that, we went back to the room, and they have like, they don't have Disney Plus, but they have a selection on their TV, kind of like at the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ron was already in there and watching something, and so I think they ended up watching, it was the old Parent Trap, like the Haley Mills
one.
one.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
So
I don't think she'd ever seen it. So that was cute. So yeah, that was pretty much the first day. It felt like we did a ton of stuff, and then, I didn't talk about our stateroom. I kind of skipped over that, but we ended up getting a ocean view family veranda. So we didn't have the biggest room,
mm-hmm.
but we had the veranda and a queen size bed, and then there's the couch that turns into a twin size bed, and there's also a pull down bunk from the ceiling. And so Zoe wanted to sleep on the bunk, and so we just told our stateroom attendant, who was like pretty much always in the hallway, he was always working.
Mm-hmm.
They come along when you're at dinner and prep your room for bedtime, basically. And so we kind of found him at some point and was like, can you pull down the bunk for her? She wants to sleep on that instead of the couch bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just left the couch as it was, and then there's a little ladder that they pull down the bunk and put up the ladder for her. So she slept up there the whole week. And I felt like it was a pretty good amount of room. There's 2 bathrooms, which we didn't have before on our first cruise. We just did like the cheapest, smallest inside stateroom,
mm-hmm.
and it was pretty tight. And it didn't have the split bathrooms either. And so this time it was, so one bathroom has the toilet and a vanity, and the other bathroom has the shower and tub and a vanity. And so it was kind of convenient if a lot of people are getting ready at once. It was also kind of annoying if you're having to like go out of one bathroom into the other, back and forth. And they were like right beside each other in the little tiny hallway, and across from that are the closets. And so I did like unpack all my stuff and put it away because there was no way there's going to be room for my large suitcase to be opened up every day.
Right.
So it had 3 drawers in a little, like under a little bar area thing, and then 3 other drawers under the desk. So Zoe used 3 of them and I used 3 of them and kind of just inserted my packing cubes right into the drawers. So that worked out pretty well. And then I hung up all of my dress clothes and whatever I could in the closet. So I think Ron was the only one that kept living out of the suitcase because there were a couple like shelves. Each closet had a little like shelf area for shoes or something. I put my shoes there. So there was quite a bit of storage. There were other shelves that we could put like food, or I used the little hooks to hang like any of my purses or all of my ears. I hung up on the wall, or there was a connecting door which was to the next stateroom, and so that was another like full magnetic area I could put stuff on. So I filled that up with my ear selections and handbags and stuff like that. So we had quite a bit of space. And the shower had 2 clotheslines in it for drying stuff, although it's pretty hard to dry stuff in there because it's like, an itty bitty, you have to close the door pretty much to be able to walk by. So It's like there's no air in there, And so we ended up draping our stuff on the veranda, the swim stuff, because it was just like, there's no way this is going to dry. And definitely bring multiple swimsuits because, it takes like a whole day for it to dry and stuff. And we did do laundry once. There's pretty much a laundry room on each floor or every other floor. And they have all the stuff. We brought like a little sample size of soap, but I think it's like $3 a load or something like that. And Ron ended up just staying there and kind of babysitting it and chatting with whoever came in there.
Fellow laundry parents.
Yeah. He was like, oh, I learned a bunch of stuff in the laundry room.
That's great.
Yeah. So we had, let's see.
So real quick, did y'all like having the veranda? Did y'all go out there on the veranda as opposed to the last time when y'all were just in an inside room?
We really liked having at least the visual space and like the ability to get the fresh air in there. We didn't go out on it a ton, but there was like, I ordered, you can order room service and you can order your breakfast to your room the night before, and you can put it out like as late as 3 a.m. And so there's a little door hanger that is like a menu, and you just select, and they're not going to have like the hot breakfast stuff on there. It's like a continental breakfast kind of thing. So I decided to do that for the next morning because we had an excursion at Nassau, and so I was like, we might not have time. We had to meet, I think, at 9:15 in the movie theater for our excursion. And so I was like, well, we might not want to get around and go up to the buffet. And so I just ordered a bunch of the stuff, and you kind of put like how many people it's for, and you can order like assorted muffins and pastries and stuff like that. I ordered cereal, fruit, coffee, juice. I think that was about the main things that are on there. And so I kind of ordered one of everything that they had. So we did do that, and there's like a tiny little like coffee table thing that his by the couch. And then there was a little tiny table out on the veranda that you could use. And we never ended up doing room service, like for dinner or snacks or anything else. But, and I didn't see the menu for it. I was like, I don't know if it was in a drawer that I did not see or what, and I couldn't find it in the app. So I need to investigate that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna make a note to look at that.
Talk about what they order on and all of this, and I'm like, where did they hide the menu? And I never kept forgetting to ask our stateroom guy. It might have been in the nightstand or something too. There were itty bitty nightstands on both sides of the bed that we had, and then there were quite a few places to charge stuff. I brought one of the tips that I had read was to get the European plug converter thing, because it'll have both like on the desk and also by the bed. I think there's a American plug and a European plug, and so I bought like a little European plug that had multiple USBs on it, and so it kind of gave us an extra area. And then we also had like the little kind of multi-plug thing that we normally take with us to the parks. I think you just can't bring like a power strip, but you can bring one of those multi-plug units. And so so we had I think, I don't know, Ron really liked having the veranda, and he commented multiple times that it was like so much better than the last time on the tiny inside room.
That's good to know, because I have clients all the time that are like, I don't know if it's worth it to have it.
Yeah,
and I just
a lot more on some of them.
Yeah, I just think to have that option for mostly more windows to kind of make it brighter.
Yeah, that's true. It's nice to just be able to have some sunlight coming in or whatnot, but some people then love like the super dark, like you can sleep really well. But there's like blackout curtains on the veranda, and then there's also a divider curtain between the queen bed and the bunk area.
Oh, nice.
And so the only issue is like then the parents can't like go out to the veranda without walking by the kid area.
True. Yeah.
And so I had seen where somebody posted where they bring like a shower curtain or a blackout curtain that they hang from the ceiling and put it around the bunk bed. So then there's like another barrier between the kids. And I'm like, that is like hardcore.
That's intense. Like, yeah. Maybe if you're on a really long cruise, it'd be worth it, but that seems like a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to travel with that much stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I did bring one of those collapsible laundry baskets, which was handy to not have, to have one place to put all of our dirty clothes in the closet. So yeah, we liked having the veranda. And it was cool to just be able, like when you're leaving a port, to just be able to look out and see, or when you pull up to a port, look out there.
That's fun.
Yeah. So we had, like, our first port day was Nassau, and I ended up scheduling a Jeep tour. It was called Funky Jeep Tour, and it was through Disney. And it was kind of expensive. It was like $149 a person. And it was a shared Jeep. They had multiple options. It was like, one of them was where you actually drove it yourself. And I was like, I don't think we're going to want to be driving around. It's like, they drive on the other side of the road there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not tackling that on vacation. And so this one was like, it was like an extended Jeep, and there ended up being just another couple and then another family of 3 that had a little girl. that were in our Jeep with us. And we like, they tell you where to meet in the app. So it was like the Buena Vista Theater, which is like the movie theater, is where we were meeting up. And so a cast member was in there to meet us, and we had to like wait for everybody to get there. And then they walk you out like with a little sign to like off the ship, and then to another person to hand you off that's going to get you to the tour. And so she took us in a little golf cart to the actual Jeep. And so all of that kind of took like maybe 20 or 30 minutes before we were actually at where we needed to be. But it was, I think it was slated to be a 3-hour tour. And I don't know, I kind of had mixed feelings about it. Like, it was a local guide, and it had a lot of stops. Like, we first went to the Queen's Staircase thing, which is like this weird, super steep staircase and like deep crevasse that's like in the limestone there. And there's several things there that are like named after Queen Elizabeth, or Princess Margaret even had like a hospital, stuff like that. And so we got out and kind of walked through it, but he like handed us off to what was supposed to be a historian, like a local historian for the Queen's Staircase. And this guy was like talking so fast, and he probably talked for like 3 or 4 minutes about it. And then he like basically asked us for a tip, and we were like, what? We're supposed to like tip you separately? And it was like, he barely talked to us. It was so weird. Yeah. And we're like, okay, I don't think so. And we just kind of like walked back to the Jeep. We're like, this is weird. That's and so I felt like several things were kind of like a money grab on this tour. Like the other stops, it said it was like a chocolate factory, you know, a rum shop, and a tea shop. And so they were all kind of like places where you were supposed to then buy the things. But so they would talk about, on the way there, he would talk about kind of like how it was significant to the island and stuff like that. And but then it was just kind of like a gift shop. And so I was like, oh, I thought we were like going to the chocolate factory, but it was really just the gift shop of the factory or something like that. And so I don't know. There were like 3 stops like that, and then there was one that was more like historical, and it was like kind of like a little museum for the Junkanoo, which is like their celebration that they have, and it had like these costumes that they make out of like tissue paper basically and cardboard, and they're like humongous elaborate costumes, and they work on them like all year. And then a guy showed us the instruments that they play, which was basically like drums and cowbells. And so then he wanted to demonstrate this. And there was another tour from another Jeep in there, and they were in there with us, but then like he wanted everybody to play drums and cowbells in this little bitty room. I was like, oh my god, it was so loud. And so that was interesting, but also like a lot.
Yeah.
And then like the last stop was just like a little restaurant where they served us like 3 different local foods, and it was kind of like a conch critter, which they use the conch shells and they get like the meat out of them or whatever and make it into this little dish. It was kind of like a hush puppy. And then there was chicken wings that had like some special seasoning they use, like tamarind, I think it was. And then there was like a fried fish thing. And so it was kind of like one of each of those, one or two for all of us. So he wasn't going to eat that at all. So he was just like, what is this? And so Ron and I kind of had that, and it was just like kind of a little appetizer thing, and that was kind of the end. And then he kind of just dropped us off like in the straw market area where there's like a bunch of little shops and stuff to buy. And so we were kind of like, should we get back on or like shop around a little bit? And we didn't want my daughter to like start buying all this weird junk. And so
Right.
we were like, I guess we'll get back on. And she was like kind of disappointed that we didn't stop at the beach because we like passed by a nice beach, and like we could have done one of those, like a lot of people go to Atlantis and do dolphin stuff or animal encounters there. And then there was one, like another water park thing that you could do. But we were already going to have 2 days at Castaway Cay. So we were like, well, we're having 2 beach days and we don't really want to do another one here where it's like we don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Kind of see the island. Like, I can see why you went with this for sure.
Yeah, and last time we did stop there, but we ended up like leaving her at the kids club, and we got off, just Ron and I, and it was like all these vendors like immediately right there by the ship. And since we've been there, they have built like all of this area out, and they kind of like put all the market stalls under like a big, kind of like a big mall sort of area, and then some of them have like little buildings. Oh, it looked a lot nicer than it did before. It was like really trashy. We were like, we're not getting off here again. But it looks like they have like built out a big walkway, and definitely lots more shops and restaurants and stuff. So it's a lot different than it was in 2015 when we got off there. So that was good. But yeah, we kind of got back on after that, and we were hungry too because we had just had the little kind of snack food. And so we wanted to ride the aqueduct again, and so we got back on and did that some more. And it was like super packed on board when we got back on. Like the pool deck was really busy, and it was like a nice sunny day that day.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was the weather like? Because in March, I've heard just like sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's warm. So what was the weather like?
So it was pretty windy on deck, and it was like in the 70s. So at least for the first part of the week. And so there was a big storm that was coming in that night. And so we were supposed to dock at Castaway the next day. And so the captain actually decided to hustle to Castaway that night, which I guess they never do. And they like docked the night before. And so as soon as we left Nassau, they were like, we probably won't have a chance if we dawdle. So instead of possibly missing that first Castaway day, they ended up docking the night before. So that was really nice.
Yeah, so you like woke up and saw Castaway. That's fun.
Yeah, and we were already there. Yeah, it was cool. And so that day, it was really kind of cloudy or partly cloudy and windy. And so it was quite chilly on the beach, and the water was really cold. The water on the ship is heated, like the pools and stuff, but yeah, the ocean was cold, and I kind of like shivered in there because Zoe was like totally fine to go in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is freezing. And so I would kind of barely get out there, and you would get used to it and stuff, but it was too cold to want to like do the snorkeling and stuff, and it was so windy they canceled I think almost every excursion.
Oh man.
So like all of the rental stuff, like some people do like kayaking or the parasailing, or there's like these big like water tricycle things that looked fun. There's a stingray encounter. So they kind of just had a sign up that was like all excursions canceled or port adventures. And so that was kind of sad, but we hadn't scheduled anything, so we were just going to kind of play it by ear. And so, yeah, that was the only like kind of bummer weather. But then what we did was it was like Tuesday we were at Castaway, and Wednesday was a sea day. They just kind of tooled around. And then because I think the Wish was docking that day. And then Thursday we went back to Castaway. So that day was like awesome weather and like hardly any wind. And it was closer to like 78 or something, sunny. And so it was really nice. Still, the water was cold, but
yeah.
But I think everybody was able to do their excursions that day, and people were snorkeling and stuff, and so that was a lot nicer.
That's fun.
Yeah, and then when we got off, it was getting stormy that day too, and so there was like a huge storm coming in, and we had planned to do like a beach day in Fort Lauderdale on the last like Saturday, and then it was raining the entire day.
Oh no.
And really windy, because we had like our hotel was on the beach and we could look out and see, and like we just walked over there for a second, and it was like super windy and sprinkling, and I saw the Dream setting sail with their next group, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna have a rough night, because it was like the waves were huge and stuff.
When y'all were sailing, how was it ever rough?
I did not have, there were like a few times, like that one night when they were trying to beat the storm and stuff, you could feel the boat rocking a little bit, but it would only be like if I was like sitting still and really concentrating. Like at dinner, I could kind of feel it a couple times. And you could like kind of see like the hangers in the closet or something.
Oh yeah,
swinging. But there were hardly any times that it was like that. It was pretty smooth, I think.
That's good.
And I did use the scopolamine patch on this trip, which I'd been using at the parks, and I did get really seasick on the last cruise, and I used Dramamine, but I think I didn't start it soon enough. Like I kind of waited till I got on board, and it didn't have a chance to really set in or something. So this time I kind of like, I put the patch on like actually 2 days before for our road trip and then for the airplane. And so I already had it on and I didn't get seasick at all, but I did realize that those patches, they kind of like mess with my vision after a while.
Oh, that's
It's really weird. And I had been listening to, I think it was Rope Drop on Deck. He was talking about he gets sick sometimes at the parks and stuff. And he was talking about those patches and saying like they can like mess with your vision if you like accidentally touch your eye or something after you touched it or something. But I think it's something to do with like how long it's on or something.
It might be, yeah.
Because it won't do it at first, but then after like you have to switch it like every 72 hours or less, like from ear to ear, like or one side to the other. And then it seems like after I've done like one cycle of that or something, it's like my close-up vision will get blurry. And I was kind of Googling it, like, what is this? And it was like something like it makes your eyes like kind of dilate or something. It's kind of like that effect. It was so weird. And so I'm trying to read my phone, like, what? I can't see this. It's so strange.
Man, that is.
And I feel like that, like, lasted like a couple days after the trip, too.
Wow.
I know. It's freaky. So now I'm kind of like, maybe I won't use those next time. Maybe I'll try the medicine again. I don't know, because I know then with that it'll kind of make you groggy or something. So I don't know if there's a perfect solution for the seasickness.
So I have heard, and it is expensive, but those relief bands. I've heard a lot of great things about those, and if you use it, you know, if it's something that you're going to be using over and over, it'd be worth the investment. Because one of my kids gets very motion sick, and I've been so tempted to buy it for him because he'll get sick on airplanes, car rides, like all the things. And so I'm like,
me too, yeah.
It might be worth it because you know, this might be something he has struggled with his whole life.
Yeah, and I bought one of those for one of the park strips, and then like I ended up using the patch thing instead. And I don't know. I tested it out like for some road trips or something.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really figure out exactly what I was supposed to do. Because it was like, it comes with like this gel and stuff that you have to put on to like have a barrier.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what happened, but I ended up like forgetting to pack it. Well, I think I got it like for the second Disney World trip or something, and I forgot it at home, and so then I forgot it again for the cruise, and I'm like, so I haven't really tested.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to try that.
Yeah, because y'all have another cruise coming up, so you can try it on that.
Yes. Let's see. So I don't know. There's so many things to do on board that I was trying out. Like, they have games going all the time, pretty much. And they have a lot of stuff that we did not book. Like, there's alcohol tastings for like everything you can think of, like champagne, martinis, old fashions, like so many. There were like tons of them and each day would have different ones. And then some of the things I did go to was like they had trivia for all different Disney things, and like there was even some non-Disney stuff. Like there was one that was just called Brain Teasers, and it was like, you know, just kind of riddle type questions. And Ron and I went to that, and I went to a bunch of them by myself. Like I went to a Pixar one, and I went to one that was just, I think, Toy Story. There was one that was just Monsters, Inc. And then one of my favorite things to do is the character drawings. So they'll have like, they call it, I think, animation class. And then the crew member will pick whatever character or she'll kind of poll people. And so I ended up going to a couple of those, and it was funny because like both 2 times in a row they did Goofy, and it was different people, and they drew them like completely differently. It was so funny. I was like comparing Goofy's, like, these do not look the same at all. Yeah. They had like a little bit different techniques, but I ended up doing Goofy twice, and then she did Minnie and Pluto, and I did Donald another night. And it was like at the same time I knew that Donald was about to be meeting for pictures, and so I drew the Donald, I took it with me, and I had him sign it.
That's fun.
It was so cute. And then I had like this really obnoxious Donald sweater that I got that's like a cardigan with like the flap, like a sailor, the sailor shirt thing that he has, and it has like number 1 duck on the back. It was so funny. And so I was wearing that, and he was like beside himself. He was like, the character was freaking out, and he was like, he went over to the wall and he like put his hand up. He was like, oh my gosh, like he couldn't handle it. It was so funny.
That's fantastic.
He loved it. And then he signed the drawing. It was so cute.
That's such a great idea. I think I might steal that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so easy to meet the characters. They're just like all day, constantly out, and you kind of learn that there's basically like 3 or 4 main spots that they meet in, and you kind of have to plan, like, it can take up a lot of time. Like, if you're trying to get all of their signatures, people will line up, like, they meet in 15-minute increments, but people will line up 15 minutes early to get to be at the front of that line, And so occasionally it'll happen where they'll cut it off because it's time for the character break. And then, so it's like you line up for Daisy, but then she's done and you end up having to meet Donald instead or something.
Yeah.
So, and then the rare ones are just like at the parks, it's like, people are like, oh my gosh, I have to meet Stitch or whatever. And so they mainly had like the main 5 or 6 characters, and then they also had like for Pirate Night, like Captain Hook and Smee were out, and they had like the princesses weren't out as much, but there was always usually one in the evening. And then throughout the day, it would just be like Mickey, Minnie, and Donald and Daisy, Goofy and Pluto. Chip and Dale were out a few times, and then they're also on the island. They'll put them out, and so they'll come out and do like Jack Sparrow was out there, and then each day there's different characters, like Mickey and Minnie were out there some, and then Chip and Dale and Goofy, and it was so cute that they do like this dance party thing, like on Castaway, and like the characters will join in and start dancing. And so Mickey was at the dance party the first day, I noticed, and then Minnie and Goofy were in it the second time, and they started a conga line. And
That's
so
fun.
Everybody was like lining up behind him. It was so cute. And they had gotten new outfits like, a few weeks before for Castaway.
They're so cute. I love the new outfits.
They were so bright and fun. They were really cute. But I didn't end up getting any pictures on the island with them, because it was like they'll meet like it's before you get to the beaches, kind of. It's like towards the front, and so you kind of have to backtrack and keep checking the times and all of that. And we were kind of already settled on the beach and didn't want to go back there, but you can definitely get some cute pictures out there with them. So I ended up getting a lot of character pics, but a lot of them, it was just me or me and Ron, and so it was like, I don't want to be with the characters.
Yes.
She was being a big bummer when it came to character pics.
It's the age. It's just the age.
I know. She's like at that in between where it's like, totally lame, and then it'll be cool again at some point.
It's tough.
They also had like game shows where they would have the family, like, a parent and a child, and they would do kind of like the newlywed game or whatever, where they'd ask them, who's your child's best friend or something, and they have to like write it on a whiteboard and then see if they agreed and stuff like that. That was cute. And then they have one where they do like a cooking show called Anyone Can Cook, and then you get to like sample it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, they had one where it was like, who's behind the curtain? And it was like, they give the kids clues and they're supposed to guess. And it was like the characters, different characters were back there and they came out. And then they had like the silent DJ thing where it's like everyone has headphones on. And
yes, I love
I think
that.
there's like 3 channels you can turn to. So everyone's like dancing different things. There's karaoke and there's a lot of like all the ships have adult districts. And so there's like several bars on board and they have like adults only stuff going on. At the same time, there's family stuff going on in other areas. And so you kind of just look on there, like it might say trivia for adults only or something. And so there's definitely stuff to do if you're without your kids or if you're traveling with no kids. And there's adults only pool area and I went to the fitness room once for a yoga class, and then I went to the spa once because I kind of put that I was celebrating my birthday. My birthday was March 5th, so it was like a week before the cruise or so. And so I put that on the little celebration thing, which is in the app. You can put like special requests, and there's like you can put what you're celebrating. And so like they brought me a birthday cake the first night and the waiter sang to me and stuff. So if you don't want that to happen, maybe not put it on there. But then they gave me a little coupon for the spa that was like stuck in my little fish extender thing. And it was $50 off any 50-minute or more service.
Nice.
And so I kind of put it off till the last day, and then I was like, can I still use this? And they were able to schedule me for a facial for the very last night, and it was like kind of last minute. And so I did that.
Did you enjoy it? Was it like a good facial?
It was pretty nice. They were really expensive. So I did like the cheapest one. I was like, I'll just do the basic one. Because they had one, the other ones were all like involving like this machine, like pore extraction or, resurfacing stuff like that. And even the basic one was like $200, I think.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll just do this one. And she kind of like went through all this stuff, like, asked me questions about my skin routine and then what I wanted to focus on and stuff like that. So you could still like customize it. And then she asked if I wanted her to write down all of the products she used and stuff, and they use Elemis is the brand that they use, and then they will kind of tell you all the products. And she wasn't like doing a hard sell on the products or anything. I know some people have been like complaining about the massages and face stuff because it's like they try to sell them all this stuff, and I didn't feel like she was really pushing it. And yeah, it was relaxing. It was nice.
That's great.
And the only thing was like I kind of put it it was like right after dinner, and I was trying to like squeeze it in before the show, and so I was like running up there like, hurry up, get a facial, run back down to the theater. And so that was good. I kind of missed the beginning of the show, and I was kind of like, okay, lady, hurry up, like.
Like, I gotta get to a show.
The most relaxing time. But yeah, and I thought about doing a massage, and that might have been a better idea, but it was pretty nice. But, I probably wouldn't have done it if I hadn't gotten that
Mm-hmm.
coupon. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We really enjoy the shows. So I said that the first night they just played the movie Wish.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second night was the Golden Mickeys, which was kind of like a Disney award show thing where they end up showing they staged bits from like a whole bunch of different Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gave out, awards that were like best whatever song or villain, or it was kind of cute. And then like the main like kind of Broadway type show was Beauty and the Beast, and it was really, really good. And that was the only one where it was kind of like, one story and like a full, it was probably like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
So it's like a full production.
75 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
So it's not like a full, like 2.5 hour production or something.
Yeah.
But it was really, really good. They had really neat puppetry for the little animated characters like Lumiere and
Mm-hmm.
Cogsworth and all of those guys. And I thought it was really cool. The set was really neat how they had it laid out. They had like multiple like depths on the set, and like they would have kind of like screens that they put up, and it was just really cool how they changed the set in and out. And then there was also like a magician was kind of the non-Disney show that they had, and he was really good. He was like a close-up like sleight of hand magician, so it was kind of like you kind of had to watch it on the screen the whole time because it was in the big theater still. But he was really good. He had been on like one of those shows like America's Got Talent or one of those, and he had also been on that one with Penn and Teller where they try to like fool them.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was really good, and Zoe really enjoyed that. She was like, "What?"
That's great.
He didn't. She like had these strong reactions.
That's fun.
And one of her favorite things to do was to get the popcorn before each show, and they do have the popcorn bucket on board. And some people will bring their popcorn bucket from the parks and stuff. I didn't try that just because of packing space, but so we bought it the first night, and I think it was only $1.50 to do the refills on it.
Wow, that's great. That's a great snack.
I know. And I was able to use my Magic Band to buy stuff on board. The only thing was at the popcorn stand, and I've heard some people complain about it, like at some of the bars and stuff, that they want you to take it off and they scan, like they don't have the scanners, like the portable scanners or the scanners up on the counter. It's like, can you give me your band? And then they like take it back to the cash register thing. And I was like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of that. And so that was annoying, but that was pretty much the only place I think where I had to take it off.
Mm-hmm.
And it unlocked the stateroom door, which was the most handy thing. But it wasn't like you had to have it. It wasn't as, like you're using it as much as in the parks.
Right.
You still had to use your key to the world card to get off at the ports. So on and off. So you kind of still had to have that with you. And we got our little gift for being silver was the silver lanyards with a cute little Mickey for the card holder. And then there was also like a nice bag that was like a lined like cooler bag with a zipper. Mm-hmm. So for your first cruise, you don't get a gift, and so you need to bring a lanyard with you if you want one. But yeah, so shows were good. And then also for the Beauty and the Beast one, they did a matinee for just that one. So they had a 1:00 show, which was really nice because it's like, those late shows every night. You're like, oh, this is getting to be a lot.
Yes, for sure.
Because they get out like around 10.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up doing the 1:00, and it was really nice. And then you also have the option, if you want to see it again later, you can. And then a couple times after Zoe hooked up with her friends, it wasn't really until day 3 that she met up with any girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept trying to get her to go, take her to the kids club, and she was kind of like,
Yeah, I was going to ask, did she like the kids club?
She was kind of shy about it, and she wasn't really into it because it was like, I don't know, whenever I was in there for the open houses, it was like, a few kids playing video games and not really like an activity going on. But they always had an area where you could do like a craft or coloring or something. And then they had like board games set out, but you would have to have, someone that you were willing to play with. And then they had at least 2 or 3 crew members in there to be like counselors and hang out with the kids.
Yeah.
So I think it was, if she had a sibling or a friend, she might have gone in there to hang out more. But I think she ended up going there only like a few times. And then she set up with one of the girls from the chat to meet like at the ice cream machine one night. And they were kind of chatting, and then they ended up hanging out the next day. And then she met another girl and hung out with her a couple days. And so she ended up having like a couple friends that she could meet up with. And so it worked out, but it kind of took a while. And then she like didn't want to quit hanging out with them. Like, she didn't come to dinner with us the last 2 nights. And I was like, I don't know if I like this. Oh, finally she has a friend, but now I'm like, okay, this is still a family vacation,
Right? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because one of her friends had the late dining, and so she ended up going to the early show with her on the last night, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the show on the last night was called Believe, and it was like kind of another like conglomeration of a bunch of different Disney things. It was, I don't know, it was kind of weird, but it was like, yeah, a guy and his daughter, and he was like, he was not believing in the magic of Disney or whatever. And so it was kind of like different characters were trying to show him like magical moments and stuff like that. So it was cute, but yeah, she ended up having a good time reluctantly after she finally allowed herself, I think.
Right. I mean, sometimes it takes time to get used to somewhere, new place, new situation.
Yeah. And then we had like on the second Castaway Day, when it was a little bit nicer weather, like she met up with the girls on the beach and was running around with them the whole time. And so I decided to do the 5K, which is very unofficial, and you just like go run it, and then you tell the guy at the little shack that you ran it, and they give you the medal. So I guess before COVID, they used to have an official like meetup and starting line and all this. And so, but it's kind of like towards the back, like if you keep going, like there's 2 family beaches and then there's an adults only beach. And it's like there's a tram that you could take, and the second tram stop is basically where it starts. But it's by the bike rental cabana thing too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I should have asked the guy like for the map or something or to show me, because I was just like, okay, it says start here. And so I was kind of following other people, but then somebody had like moved the sign that says like 5K this way. And
Yikes.
so I like missed the first turnoff or something. And so I finally figured out that you basically have to do the loop twice, but it goes back into like a forested path.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also, most of the path is like on this airplane runway strip that's on the island. And so it's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
But you basically have to do the loop twice, I think. But I just kept looking at my watch like, this is not a 5K yet. You know, I was like, it's only like 2 miles. So I kept like repeating the path over and over. So eventually I finished that, and then we had lunch. On the island they have a buffet lunch, and there's 3 different spots you can get it on the adult area, and then there's 2 other buffets places, like one for each beach. And so it's basically like barbecue, like they have ribs, chicken sandwiches, hamburgers. They had hot dogs on the first day, but then they didn't have it on the second day, which the kids were all like looking for the hot dogs. They're like, where are the hot dogs? And they're like, we don't have them today. So I don't know if they ran out of them.
They might have, yeah.
It was kind of weird. And then they have like some little dessert things and various salad side dishes and fruit. And so we did that. They also have the free soft serve on the island. There's like a few different spots where you can just go and get your ice cream. And then Ron and I decided to rent bikes. So they have like the big like handlebar cruiser bikes. And I can't remember how much it was. I think it's like $15 or $20. I can't remember. And then you can also rent floaties, so like rafts, either like one of those flat like foam rafts, little pillow thing, or a big inflatable tube. And so we rented one of those each day for Zoe to kind of use. And then the one thing I wanted to do that I didn't was the snorkeling to like search for the Disney statues that are like sunken in this area. And it looked like a really huge area. And it took up like most of the cove that they have kind of blocked off for the swimming area. But since the water was so cold, I just kept like, I don't know if I want to do it. But there were a ton of people out there, you could tell, searching for the statues and stuff. And you can rent all the snorkeling stuff too. I had actually bought some on Amazon just to bring, because it was kind of expensive to rent. And I thought, like, if all 3 of us rent it, it's going to be a lot. So hopefully next time I can try that out. But yeah, the bikes were fun. There's like it was about a 3-mile path that we did for the bikes. And it goes out by where the cabanas are. And it's really nice. It goes like over by where the adult beach is and everything. And I didn't even end up like going around the adult area just because I didn't really want to lose track of Zoe. But there's like a whole beach that's just for adults only, and it has some cabanas that are adults only, and it has its own buffet area and lots of stuff over there. So we kind of just drove by on our bikes, and then the running path also goes over there too.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard that area is really great.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty much, I'm trying to think.
Did y'all end up doing the Royal Gathering?
Yes, it was kind of weird. I couldn't get Zoe to come to it, and Ron felt like it would be super weird if he was like in the pictures with the princesses. So I ended up talking to the princesses by myself, and I was like, I'm just gonna get their signatures and stuff so I don't like feel super weird doing, just taking a picture. And I did see a few like couples only. There were, a few like women by themselves or a couple with no kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I just brought one of the signature or autograph books that we had gotten like on our first park trip with us. And because I was like, oh, I don't know if Zoe will want to do it or whatnot. And so I just kind of like brought it to have. And so I used that because I knew we hadn't gotten any princess signatures at the park. So on our first cruise, our travel agent gave us a ceramic plate with a Mickey on it to take for signatures. And it was like so hard to carry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was ridiculous. It was really cute to have like in the end. And I think she gave us a pin that was like, for ceramics or whatever. And it looked really cute. And like I hung it in Zoe's room after we got back for years and stuff. But it was like every time we'd see the character, we would have to like, oh my gosh, who has the plate? We have to go to the room and get the plate. And like, you're trying not to break the plate and like delicately hand it to them. And then like to get it back home, which we had driven on that trip. But it was still like, really hard. And I saw a few things on this trip that I thought was a good idea, like people doing water bottles.
Yep.
They had them sign, and then I saw some hats and t-shirts. A lot of people had the photo mats.
Yeah.
Which I think would probably be the easiest and best idea to do.
Water bottles is real popular. Even in the parks now, people are doing that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea, too. I'd just be afraid of it wearing off after, so many washings or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just used a little autograph book. So that was fun, and it was Belle, Cinderella, Tiana, and Mulan.
Oh, nice. That's a good variety.
Yeah, and those are the only ones. And then I had this like princess shirt that I had. I was like, what am I going to wear to this princess thing? So I had one shirt that I'd gotten that had like, it had all the princesses, or most of them. It had like their flowers, and it was like, whatever flower represented that princess. And so they kind of all were able to be like, oh, I like your shirt. And they would find their little flower, or Cinderella's was a pumpkin. And
that's so cute.
Yeah, it was. So that was kind of a good conversation starter. And then the only other princess I saw, they had me greet for Rapunzel that was like by herself a couple of the evenings. And I think that's the only other one that I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
There may have been one other one. Like, I remember on our first cruise, we got a really cute picture with Tinkerbell. But I don't remember seeing her this time.
Mm-hmm.
And every evening there was these photo backdrops that you could do for like family pictures. There was lots of that. You can even set up a free photo session that's like in a studio and do photos. And I did buy the photo package. photos are pretty expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to buy them before you leave the ship. I think they're like $20 a picture or something. And then it would just be like, I don't know. When we did it before, I didn't buy the package, and I really regretted like not having all those because we only bought like a couple 8x10s, and it was like, this is all we got. I don't even know if they had a digital option back then. And so this one is just like the parks where, everything the photo pass people take, you have on your digital package. And so I think I ended up getting like around 60 photos.
Oh, that's nice.
And I thought they did a good job of, there were a lot more options this time. Like, they walked around, like, during the Pirate Night deck party, they walked around and they would just, like, say, hey, do you guys want your picture? And, like, I got some cute ones with Zoe on that night. And then they were at dinner, I think, every night to do, like, a family picture at your table. And then even on Castaway, they were, like, walking on the beach this time. And
that's cool.
I was just standing in the water, with Zoe. We got a cute picture on the beach and with the ship in the background and stuff. So they had more options than just the character pictures. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was nice. And then we did do a few of the backdrop ones a couple nights. And then I'm trying to think if there were any other ones. I think those were the main ones, but I thought it was worth it to do. And it was more expensive than the parks package. I think it was like $200 and something. $240 or something. And so I was kind of like, I don't know, is this going to be worth it?
Yeah.
Maybe one of those where I do it this time and not on the next cruise, because I probably won't be trying to get as many character pics and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's kind of nice to have the option of, picking which photos and not having to be like, oh, I just want these 3 or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to buy more than 10, then it's worth it.
Yeah. It's hard. It's so hard to tell, because then if you don't get it, you're going to be like, I wish I would have bought it.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I know.
Like,
and then when you get it, you feel like you have to stop for every picture.
Yeah. So it's like a double-edged sword. The last thing I would just want to talk about is, disembarkation, like the day y'all left, how that all went.
It was so smooth. Like, we ended up doing, you have the option of doing like a rapid walk off, if you want, where you just carry off your luggage yourself. Or you have to put your luggage out the night before, and they come and take it from the hallway and take it off the ship for you and get it ready and stuff like that. And then you pick it up when you get off. And so we ended up doing that. It's kind of a hassle to plan, you have to leave out like your outfit, your toiletries you're going to need and all of that. So it was kind of like when we got on, where we just had to keep a backpack with all the stuff we might need. But like the last day, they have you eat breakfast at coordinating with your dinner time. So like, since we had early dinner, we have early breakfast, which I think was 6:30.
Wow, that's early.
Maybe 6:45. It's really early, and it's in the main dining room. You always have the option of doing a sit-down breakfast and lunch in one of the restaurants. I think it was always the Royal Palace, but so that's where we had it. And because that was the dinner that you have on your last night, I think you go back to the same restaurant and table and stuff like that the next morning. And so that was the only sit down breakfast we ended up doing. But then they put in your room the day before like your character tags, and that's going to be what they call that's going to be what you put on your luggage to find it when you get off. And then they call the tags like, okay, everybody with a purple daisy tag can get off the ship. And so um, so after we ate, people are just hanging around, like in the atrium, just sitting on chairs and milling about, or you can go to like one of the lounges and wait around for them to call it. And like all the screens on the ship will have the tag numbers that they've called.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had the Pluto tags and the tan Pluto tag. So then when you go back into the huge port area, and to get off the ship, I think they just scanned our key to the world card, just one of us for the family, and then we just walked out. And then you go back into the port, and then they have tables of luggage, and they have the signs hanging for each character, and you just go to it and like search for your bags. So it's kind of weird, and it wasn't difficult to find our stuff. And then they had this, I think this was kind of new, but they have like a facial recognition now. So like when you go to get off, you just like look in this screen and it like scans you, and I guess it compares your face to the picture they have on file, and then you just like walk off. And
That's
so
cool.
It was super fast when we left. And it was probably like, just maybe 5 minutes to find all our luggage, and then 5 minutes waiting in a line to do that, and then we just left. And then that's where you either do like the Disney transportation, or we did a lift to our hotel. And then, which it was super early in the morning, so of course our room was not ready at the hotel. So that's another issue. Like, if you're not going straight to the airport, it's like all these people, and there were other people from the cruise that we saw at the hotel that were like, okay, we need a room at like 10 a.m. and or before 9 a.m. And it was, that was one of the days it was rainy, it was windy, so we're like, what are we going to do? We're not going to the beach. So we ended up going to a movie theater, and we saw some other people from the cruise there too. And we went to see the new Ghostbusters movie. But so we had to, get another lift to there, and the hotel stored our luggage for us. And then by the time we got back from the movie, which was like maybe 12:30 or 1, probably 1 or 1:30, our room was ready by then. So that was nice. And they didn't make us pay for like early check-in or anything. So, but that was interesting. But yeah, it was super easy. I thought the port on embarkation day and disembarkation was just really smooth.
That's nice. So let's just move into, what was your least magical moment on the cruise?
Oh my gosh. I think the least magical moment was not having a dinner companion family or whatnot. So at least like my husband was kind of getting lonely or something. He was I didn't realize not talking to anybody for this long, besides us would be difficult, because it was like, you really weren't calling anybody or going anywhere else. And so, and he did go to some of the bars a couple times, but he didn't go to a lot of the games and stuff that I was going to. But yeah, so he had to go to the laundry room to find his social time. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I'm an introvert, so I'm just like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was kind of like missing the interaction.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very real feeling.
Yeah. And yeah, there wasn't anything super crazy, like nothing other than like the weather when we got off being bad, and then that one kind of chilly day of weather on the island. Everything was pretty smooth. We did have a hiccup before we got on that was like when we were still in Kansas City, and Zoe decided she did not want to go on the cruise at all. And there was like a standoff, there was a meltdown, it was not a pretty scene. And so, I mean, thank goodness we got her calmed down, and like she was totally fine on the next day and on the plane and everything. And I don't know what was going on, but we were
just like pre-cruise anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was partly like all my friends are at home, you know, it's spring break and I could like hang out with them all week, but I have to hang out with mom and dad. And so yeah, that was a little dicey for a second.
So what was your most magical moment?
Oh my goodness. There were a lot of really fun moments with the characters. I think probably the pirate night was one of my favorites. Zoe and I went to the pirate deck party, and there were two different parties. It was like, or there was a little show that was first with Mickey and Friends, and it was kind of like more for little kids, and it was like, you know, how to be a pirate or something. Yeah. It was kind of a cute little stage show. And so we went to that, and then there was like a little, probably like an hour between that and then when they had like the nighttime deck show where they had the fireworks and stuff. And it was just like really fun. They had the tweens and teens do a flash mob in the middle of the party. It was so cute, and they'd been practicing it all week, and then they kind of just like popped up in the middle of the deck and started their dance. It was cute. And so that was kind of a really fun, magical moment, I guess.
Yeah, that's so fun. I love that. Well, what were your overall thoughts about the cruise, like, in general?
It was really fun to have just like a totally different type of Disney trip where you're not like constantly strategizing and you don't have to wake up super early, and there was a ton of walking. That was one thing. I was like, wow, I'm getting almost as many steps as in the park just doing the stairs, because the elevators can be a little bit of a hiccup, like waiting for the elevator. So we took the stairs a lot. And but yeah, it was just really neat. And then to be able to visit different areas of the world too was such a cool thing, where you're not having to move your luggage. You're just, you know, your room is the same, and
yes,
you just get off and you're in another country. So that was neat. And then just to be able to like have the characters walking around on there, and just like a set amount of people to where you're not fighting like different crowds of people throughout the day or whatnot. You don't have to wait in any lines if you don't want to. I mean, yeah, if you want to for the characters, but there's really no other things that you really have to wait in line for. And there's just tons of different things that you can do at all hours of the day, pretty much. So, yeah, I think it was a good, relaxing thing after we kind of crammed in like 3 park trips in like a year.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we need a change of pace here. So yeah, it was nice.
Well, I'm glad y'all had a great cruise, and I loved hearing all about it. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
That's a wrap on today's show. As always, thanks for listening. Make sure to visit us on Instagram at Disney Travel Tales. If you're wanting to support the show, the best and easiest way to do that is to leave a 5-star positive review on Apple Podcasts. It's so easy and means the world to me. Can't wait to be back next week with you. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams come true. Hi, this is Jenny, just popping on with some exciting news. I've started a Facebook group just for you. I'm really excited about this because not only will this be a great opportunity to get to know each other, but this is also a safe space to talk all things Disney. Members can share travel tips, resort tips, likes and dislikes, and the best part is this will give you an opportunity to talk to the guest on the show and ask them questions about their trips. I was trying to think of a fun name for us, and Disney Travel Tales Podcast Clubhouse came to mind. This is a private group, and of course, I will not allow anyone to be bullied or talked down to. I just want this space to be positive and fun. Check the show notes for a link to join, or just search Disney Travel Tales Podcast Clubhouse in Facebook. I can't wait to see you over there.